Hi everyone, welcome to our live today. I'm very excited to have you guys on here. As we wait for our guests, please let me know where you are joining us from. I'm very excited to have you guys on here. Today, we are going to be having a conversation around estate planning, succession planning, wills, trusts, and all that. So, we are actually very excited to be having this discussion with you. So I'm waiting for my guests to join me so that we can get started. But in the meantime, if you are already live with us, please let me know where you are joining us from. I'm very excited to be here with you guys. So please let me know where you are joining us from and what you are most excited about with regards to estate planning and with regards to wills and trusts. So, welcome, Miriam. I'm very happy to have you here. Can you hear me well and see me?
Yes, I can, Susan. Thank you for having me yet again.
I,
I'm loved by the channel.
I know. So I'm so happy to have you. So I'm just waiting for Winnie to join us. But otherwise, I hope your weekend has been good. The tech was trying to embarrass us, but I'm actually grateful that we have been able to log in. Hi, Winnie. How are you?
I'm well. Hi, Susan.
Fine, thank you. Karibu sana. I'm very happy to have you guys on here. Super excited for our conversation. This one is going to be one for the books, you know. I can see Isa on the comment section is saying that he's joining us from Doha. Very excited to have you, Isa. Karibu sana. So now we have exactly 1 hour for this live, and I would really love to just dive straight into it. So, guys, welcome. My name is Coach Susan, and welcome to our episode today. This one is a little bit different. I know you guys are used to the videos. Today, we are having a live discussion, and I thought this would be very important because discussions around legacy planning and families and money can be quite a tough discussion to have. So I thought I want to bring experts. Marianne is not new here. Last week, me and her had a conversation around life insurance, and you guys' comments were, I mean, they are the reason why we are having this live today. And we are also joined by an expert today. I told you guys I got you, okay? We are joined by an expert today, a lawyer who's going to help us understand the legal terms and understand all of these things that might be quite difficult for us to get on a granular level. So just very quickly, Miriam, maybe you can say hi to us and introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Marianne Tyro, and I'm the founder of The Risk Africa. What we do is we're very passionate about family wealth, especially protection and preservation of that wealth, because we understand that many Kenyans, especially, focus on creation, but they forget that anything that you love and you're trying to build has to be protected. So we come into filling that protection gap.
Yeah.
So thank you, Susan, for having me again here. Yeah.
I'm glad. Hi Winnie. Say hi to us.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Marianne. Hi, everyone. My name is Winnie Maingi, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, so a lawyer by profession, but I am also an estate planner by calling. I love to help people plan around their wealth, plan around their families, so that we can build better generations and generational wealth in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Winnie. It is a pleasure to have you here. I can see Sharon in the comment section is saying she's joining us from Nanyuki. Welcome, guys. I can see there's quite a number of you. So please let us know in the comment section where you're joining us from, just so that we can know who we are talking to. Now, I want to get straight into it. Marian, last week we had a conversation around life insurance. And guys, in case you have not watched the video, after this live, I'm going to link it in the description box so that you can also catch up on that. And I learned so much. Now, there's something you mentioned that has been stuck on my mind since last week, Marian, and you said that life insurance is good for both protection and inheritance planning. Do you mind breaking that down for us? Because I know life insurance for like protecting my dependents in case I die. But then, today we want to talk about inheritance planning. So, can you help us understand like how life insurance comes in terms of inheritance planning before we talk about wills and estate plans? And, Winnie, I know, is here to help us with the terms and understanding the financial bit of it. So please help us. When you hear legacy planning and succession planning and inheritance planning, where does life insurance come in?
Thank you for that great question, Susan. So let me just start from the beginning very briefly. When it comes to overall wealth management, there's different aspects. Yeah, there's what we call wealth creation, there's wealth protection, and wealth distribution. Just think about your life in as a circle. Yeah, circle of life. We all have a beginning, and we go through life. There's so many different stages: school, marriage, getting kids, get retiring, and then eventually leaving. So you see, between most probably the age of like 25 to like your 60s, you are there accumulating and building your wealth. But another very important aspect is all this wealth that I've created, how can it be distributed to the next generation effectively? So when it came to life insurance, when we had the conversation last week, we understand life insurance as a wealth protection tool. Because what does life insurance do? It's meant to ensure that in the case you pass away prematurely, what premature dying prematurely means is that people are still highly dependent on you. There is some money that can be used to take care of the family. So it comes in as an income replacement tool, because when you die with your ability to create your income in the future. So at least we want to know, like, as you remember I said, from the age maybe of 25 to like your 60s, you are doing the most to accumulate wealth. If you die, like, let's say in your 30s, 40s, it means between 40 and 60, that's 20 years lost of your family where they could have made that money. So life insurance comes in to fill in that gap. Yeah. But then also additionally, life insurance is a very good now inheritance planning tool, because remember that death is actually something that is going to happen to all of us. I think it's a bit delusional to think that it's not going to happen to you. I understand that most people don't like to think about it, but it's something that is definitely, guys, if you were born, you're gonna go one day. Yeah, so it's just important to also plan around that. So you see, when it comes to life insurance, the one thing is that it's a very powerful wealth transfer tool. Why do I say that? The life insurance does not go through probate courts. It does not go through, it's the courts have no say. So that means when someone passes away, automatically within, let's say, 10 to 14 days, depending on the insurer, the money is going to be passed down to the family. And depending at what stage the family is in, it can be used, like as a protection tool, or now they can use it to enhance the inheritance of the family. Because I'd like to encourage people to start thinking from a family mindset, because it's not all, yes, I understand life insurance will not necessarily benefit you per se, unless maybe you're to get a critical illness or a disability. Because most people are like, why am I getting life insurance if I'm not going to use it, because it's only going to be used when I'm not there. But what if you're to think, instead of you as an individual, you think of a family unit, like, okay, if I'm not there, at least my people are going to get something, because this is an eventuality, guys. It is going to happen. Yeah. So when it comes to now wealth distribution, it's very, very powerful in the fact that it does not go through probate, and it's just instant cash that can be used now for liquidity when people are like trying to figure out now how to work on the succession of the rest of the things. Yeah, which I know Winnie will talk more about, because succession, guys, is not easy. I don't know if you've ever gone through succession and you've gone through the probate courts, you understand number one, they are extremely slow. We have seen people who've waited for 4 5 years. So you see now, when it comes to something like a life cover, nobody can ever go to court and say, I do not, they are the this is the beneficiary, but I'm going to contest it. You understand? So at least with the life cover, that's the minimum you know for sure your people are going to get.
Mm.
Because with these other things, people could be fighting around. If you've not made plans around it, Winnie will talk more about how it is that you can avoid probate even for your other assets. Yeah. But now if you've not put plans around it, your creditors will come for your stuff. Other family members, guys, let's not act like this does not happen. Yeah, people come and start, like, even family members, they come and say that, this guy was our brother, we want a part. Yeah, we see
Yeah.
families from wives and children suffering because people are just trying to make life difficult. We've seen situations where children are coming from nowhere. We did not even know these children existed. So they're coming in also, they do want a share of the pie. So, and then let's not forget there's the lawyer's fees.
Mm.
Succession is not cheap, guys. It is not cheap. First of all, to get, first of all, a good lawyer who is trustworthy and understands how to go about it. And then now there's like the whole back and forth. And then, like, let's say from my own experience, you're supposed to go, then they're saying the judge is sick. Then now you're given a date 3 months later. Yeah. So I believe that it's always important to have something that will at least take care of your family in the time being when these things are happening. And then also, if you're looking at it from an inheritance planning aspect, if let's say you've passed away when your kids are like even over 30, 40, most probably at that time they can take care of themselves. But there's nothing wrong with giving your children a stepping stone, because that's an amount of money they could use for something. Susan, just ask yourself, like right now, if your grandmother had left you some couple of millions, where would your
Ningekuwa
business be?
mbali. Yeah. Yeah.
Guys,
Mm.
I was saying if my grandma had passed and left me some cash, maybe I'd be like at 20 employees.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's good to now think of the future. Now, like if your family did not do it, there's something that you can do now because they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the means, and they didn't have the tools. For
Yeah.
us right now, where it is that you're stepping in, we do have this information. That's why we are here today, so that now we can be that. I always say we can be that ancestor who thinks ahead. We can be those visionaries because let's just be straight. Most people can even barely think about next year. So you can think, if you're thinking grandchildren, it means that you are such a huge visionary. I believe that
Yeah.
even the provision will come. Yeah, but more or less that's how life insurance comes in when it comes to now the transfer of wealth from one generation to the other. And
Mm.
then I believe that Winnie now can describe more of the tools that can be used also as well in the transfer of wealth and make people's and families' lives easier.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I love that. And I really, there's something that you've mentioned that when you actually, for instance, the people who have had to go through succession court or family court for one reason or the other, even on this channel, especially when we started talking about like, life insurance, I've gotten even on my own platform questions about people saying, my parents left a piece of land and now there is, there's problems around who is going to get it. They had no will, they had no estate plan, they pretty much had nothing left. So now there's, watu wanapigana, like the family is now fighting, and maybe there's even stuff that was left that could help you, but it cannot help you at all because there's no agreement around that. And I think for African families, this is a tough conversation to have because I mean, you guys can let us know in the comment section. Please give me a quick yes in the comment section. If you've seen this, whether that is in your family or in others, the moment you talk about a will or planning for what happens when someone dies, it's like, especially for African families, it's already like a taboo conversation. Our parents are already feeling like we are planning for their money before they leave us and all that. And Winnie, I want to throw this question to you because I know you handle things like estate planning and and wills. Please, can you let us know what has been like your observation around Kenyan families, like especially when families are, what is the hardest bit? Because for me, I've had so many sad stories. Why do you think it is so difficult for Kenyans to do wills, to do estate plans, to even want to think about it? Why do you think it's a challenge?
Okay, that's a good question, Sue. And I think to just start off, it's not a Kenyan problem. It's because we're in Kenya and we're in the Kenyan society, then we can associate it with a Kenyan problem. But it's a global problem when you think about it holistically. Thinking about passing away, not everybody believes in seeing their own end. Okay, no one, even you, your parents, nobody thinks of the day that I will go. Everybody just says, I would want to go peacefully and quietly in my sleep at age 100. But we have also been socialized to believe that what you have is what you have worked hard for, not what you have been given. What you've been given, you can squander. What you have worked hard for, protect. Okay. But the person telling you that, maybe your parent or your grandparent, the person who raised you, could be working hard for that they are getting to make sure you get it. But they're telling you, no, you work hard for yours. I'm working hard for you. So it's a you are socialized to believe to create for yourself, but nobody plans on how to give it to you. No one plans on, oh, you know what? For me to be able to give you best value, you need to receive this at this point in your life so that you can move along. We have a lot of families out here struggling with dormant properties, wasteland, dead assets, assets that they cannot transition from their own grandparents, great grandparents. When you visit your village, let me just give an illustration. You go to your village, wherever it is in this part of the country, you know the place you call home. But do you know who owns that place you call home? Is your grandparent still alive? Is your grandparent's home being taken care of by a family member or by a worker that one of your parents or your uncles or aunties have placed in that property? Do you know whether this will trickle down to you? Do you have a place to go back to? If things hit a snag at your workplace, do you know where you can turn to? That is the purpose of estate planning, to answer that with a resounding yes. I know where I can go. Yes, someone has a plan for me, or yes, I have a plan for myself. So estate planning is just simply putting things in order. That's the simple description of it: putting things in order for yourself and for anyone else around you, whether they are related to you by blood or otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. Marian, I always put you on the spot because you're my friend, and I really want you to help us to bring this home. Yeah. I mean, I know you've worked with people. I don't know whether you've worked with people who have had, like, they had money, they had assets, but then they went. And why I'm targeting you is because I know you've worked with young people. Why I'm raising this conversation right now is because obviously it can be difficult for much elderly people, like people in their 50s or in their 60s, to think about, do I have a will? Do I have a plan? And yes, there's either, you tell your wife or you tell your husband, if I die, please give this car to Susan and then give this piece of land to Mary. And there's the verbal. But then I also know that young people are dying with assets. Like, I think we all work with young clients, and I have so many of my clients who probably work in a very good company, Microsoft, you name it. You're earning six figures, you're earning seven figures. And we've had instances where people have died, young people have died, and like their money is now in unclaimed assets. No one knew, because you're thinking, I'm young, I just have a money market fund with 5,000 shillings and a Nanyuki piece of land that is worth 700,000. Why should I do an estate plan? Marian, from experience, I know you have quite a number, whether it's personal or whether it's from your clients. Can you please talk to us about the importance of having a plan in place, even if you're in 20s, 30s, 40, I mean, especially 20s and 30s. Why do we need to plan this even if we are single?
I love this question, Susan. My goodness, because I preach it over and over and over again. So you understand, we have to take charge of what belongs to us. You understand? So we are taking charge. Currently, if someone is watching this channel right now, I know that they are serious about putting their money in order. Yeah, they are investing their money. And then we are also in charge of protecting. So the one thing I ask people, why don't you want to take charge of how your money will be distributed? You're working so hard for this money. Like, let me give myself as an example why I do it, why I'm doing my own estate planning. Because I'd mentioned that yes, I have a life insurance, I've already written my will, like right now the next step is now setting up a trust. Because Susan, you understand, when it comes to this business, we have worked so hard to build this thing from scratch. Why would I let, number one, this thing have to go through the government for them to decide how my money will be distributed, or how my company, my business will be distributed? Because the one thing I tell people over and over again, if you don't have a plan, there's already a plan, by the way. If you didn't want to, if you don't know, there's the succession laws of Kenya. They've already been written for you. Yeah, for the people who do have their own plan, it's already there. Like, because people are like, oh, I don't like to think about it. Yeah, but there's already a plan. So it's you to choose. Do you want the courts to decide, or do you want to decide what happens to your assets? Yeah, do you, especially now, when yeah, whether you are single or not, because at the end of the day you've worked hard for whatever it is. Do you want to just like let your money just be? And then another thing is, you have to remember, even when you pass away, your estate has to be handled. Yeah, whether you are single, you are, married, it does not matter. So maybe even your assets will go to someone you didn't even want it to go to, just because you imagine, like, you're looking up from heaven, and that person you didn't even like is getting a, maybe that cousin, is getting a part of that asset.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I can have a say. Maybe I want it to go to charity.
Mm,
Yeah, because money. So what I'd like to encourage people is to take charge of what belongs to you from the beginning, that whole cycle till the very end. Don't let the government of Kenya decide for you, because at the end of the day things might be decided against you. And let's say, for example, you're a young single parent, or now let's say in the case maybe both parents died and you didn't even write down who will be the guardian. Do you know the courts will be involved? You can imagine, you would have known, maybe, if I was to pass, maybe my best friend is the one who actually checks in on my baby. My baby really loves, is the person who I know can actually, handle this financial matters the best way. But then, because you didn't write that thing down, nobody will ever know, because it was
yeah.
not written down. Yeah, then now you can imagine it will now go to the courts, and then maybe it will be someone who you least expected, who is taking care of the child, who does not share the same values as you. We will be like, okay, you mtoto, they were alikuwa anapelekwa expensive schools, eh? Now the parent is not here, we'll take them to a, a primary school instead of an academy.
Mm,
Because we have seen how things do change drastically when people pass away. Yeah, especially when there's families involved. When there's families involved, if you have a child, or if you have a spouse, very, very critical, because nobody ever know what it is that your wishes were. And as long as it was not written down and formalized, it is open to people fighting against it. Because how will we know what was in your mind? Someone would be like, no, actually, what he told me was this. This is not what he said. Yeah, this is how, like, everyone will have like a conflicting, what do you call it, position of what it is that maybe you would have wanted. Yeah, so it is always extremely important to put your things in order, because this thing is yours. This thing, is could also be for your kids, especially if you have children, and you'll be robbing your children of a future. Yeah, just because you are so scared or for any reason because of culture or religion to put your things in order. So I would challenge any young person, because again, guys, nobody knows life. Yeah, I've seen people die in their 20s, others in their 30s, 40s, because most even people like right now, people in their 30s are really accumulating a lot of wealth. We are very hardworking people. Our generation is
Yeah.
very hardworking. So you can imagine, just because you left your things, you did not put your things in order, now your other siblings start fighting.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
And for me, that is the thing I've witnessed with so many families. Like the personalities, people's personalities change when money is involved, you know? So
I
that's
no, just finish first.
yeah,
Yeah.
so people's personalities change when money is involved. Children suffer when money, when their parents left them or the main breadwinner left. And, it's almost like I've even seen wives who have no idea what their husbands had, or they have a rough idea, but because they are not beneficiaries, there was no will, there was no document stating that this man's pension should go to his wife and children, or this man's piece of land should be distributed like this. And people suffer. I mean, I'm usually very, very sad because, of course, in my nature of work, I talk to a lot of people, and especially after we had our conversation last week on life insurance, so many people were reaching out to me to tell me, I wish I knew that I could have had this before my spouse died. Because now me and the kids, like, it's so sad knowing that your spouse or your partner has land that you cannot access. They have money, or they had money that you can now not access. They had assets that haziwezi kawasaidia because now there's all these procedures. Now I really, really want us to understand something from you, Winnie. One of the reasons I know people do not do wills and all these things, today we are talking about wills, estate plans, and trusts. And I know one of them is that we think it is expensive. And on this channel, Winnie, I like to be as practical as possible because nataka tusaidike, right? So please tell us, number one, what is a will? How does one do a will? And most importantly, like, is it as expensive as we think? Please give us numbers. We are a budgeting community, so we need numbers. We need to understand, if I wanted a will, and I want you to use me as a practical example, or someone my age. So let's say I have a money market fund. Sina shamba, but I have money market funds that have money, say 500,000. Let's even assume I have a kashamba in Nanyuki. I bought for 600,000, and then I have my pension. Let us assume those are the only three things I have: a pension, a money market fund, and just one piece of land. Can you do a will for me? And what would that look like? So please tell us what a will is, a simple way of how someone works on a will, and please talk to us about numbers. Numbers are so important.
Okay, so Susan, you're my client. Okay, in this situation, you want an estate plan, and I know you've said there are three things, but wills and trusts are estate plans. It's a way that you've tailored your how your assets will be distributed or shared or even passed down to whoever. It doesn't necessarily have to be children. I know we have a lot of child-free uh, advocates out here or people who really struggle to get children, but you still are working to get what you call our assets. Yeah, we have investment coaches, advisors, movies, shows, everything. You've sat down, you've bought your piece of land, you've bought your house, you've taken a mortgage, you have your money market. So you walk in and you say, I want a plan. And I tell you, okay, there are two ways you can plan this. You have a will or you have a trust. Yeah. The will is the most spoken about because it's the one many legal practitioners have uh, experience with. Let me say that. Okay. A will is a simple document stating out your wishes, and it's a legal document. So, under the law, it's described as a legal declaration of a person's wishes.
Mm,
Say what you want to happen to three things:
mm,
yourself, by yourself, I mean your physical person,
mhm,
your property, and your family, or who the law calls your beneficiaries, dependents. Okay. So if you yourself don't know how to deal with yourself, writing a will will be a little bit hard. And here is what I mean. You don't know whether you want to be buried, to be cremated. You don't know whether you want to be turned into a tree or sleep in a pod for the rest of, your existence of your physical self. You don't know. So I would advise that you start thinking about it, not for popularity, not for trendy vibes. Simply think about it. Do you have a place that you can be laid to rest? There are a lot of Kenyans who do not have a place to be laid to rest, and therefore they must go to Langata Cemetery. Wouldn't it have been easier if you had made a plan and said, look, there's no space at Langata Cemetery. If you hear that I've passed on, please just cremate me and
Yeah.
let me go in peace. Okay. Keep my ashes in an urn next to your bed. That's okay. But please do not struggle to bury me above three other persons. Okay.
Mm,
Then you have to deal with your property. And by your property, I mean everything that you call yours, from your phone to your laptop to your TV, your household items, your money market fund, your land, everything is your property. How do you want this dealt with? How do you want it to be used? Who do you want it to go to? You're probably single and you don't have children, or you're married and you have a loving spouse and a child or a few children, but you're also taking care of your siblings' children. If you don't plan for your property, all these people will be considered your beneficiaries
mm,
and they will all need a piece of what it is you call your property. So,
yeah.
do you want to give to the child that you have been keeping in your house just for 2 years? We have our parents who housed our relatives. You were housed to go through university education, or you were housed to go through high school education, or as you were waiting to get a job. If you passed away in that season, in that moment, that person is technically your dependent because
Yeah.
you're providing basic human needs to them.
Mm,
Therefore, you can't leave them just like that, okay? And every child has to inherit from their parent.
yeah.
You've added to your list of children, you've added all these other people who you're taking care of
Mm,
from the goodness of your heart. Your benevolence has added beneficiaries to your estate. So a plan again helps you draw the line. You say, I want these people to get these things. I want my M-Pesa account to be accessible to person X. Yeah. If you have been married and maybe it turned sour and you're separated, we have a lot of married singles. Yeah. They have never taken out a legal document called a divorce decree. It's true.
so muliachana but amkusaini because divorce
Chana,
is quite
but
a process and it's
yeah,
expensive. So everyone goes separately, but you never signed
exactly.
an actual divorce paper.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this person is still your spouse in the eyes of the law. Without a plan, this person remains your dependent to your estate. Anything that you get, imagine that. Can you
These are the
imagine?
people Marian is saying will get your money and you don't even like them. It's like
Yeah,
tuliachana 17 years
yeah,
ago. Alafu nikikufa shamba yangu inapewa wewe. Ai,
yeah, yeah.
no.
Who is to prove that you separated? Who will prove that you were divorced? It is you. So the same person who proves that you are married is the same person who proves that you are divorced, because you could be walking around thinking you're married to the person you live with, you have 4 5 children, but you're not a spouse. Therefore, if they pass away or if you pass away, they're not a dependent to your estate. Can you imagine that?
Mm,
So you want the people you love to benefit, but you also don't want the people you don't really like to benefit. Yeah.
mm,
Also, you have to deal with the third thing, your people. Put them together. Put them together. Yeah. Put them in one pot if you want to. Give them something if you want to. Tell them to distribute it themselves if you want to. The thing is to take control of your voice. Don't let others speak for you. Do not let the government speak for you. Do not let frenemies speak for you, ex spouses, family, in laws. Don't
mm,
let them speak. Speak for
mm.
yourself.
And what is this a will? Is it just a document? I want to understand, like, because I want to get ni kitabu, ni nini, like, what exactly is this? Because, and one thing I've learned that, and thank you for clarifying, guys, if you've not already picked that up, estate plan is the umbrella. Estate planning is the process. And then under estate planning, I can either have a will or I can have a trust. Have I gotten it right, Winnie? Yeah. So now for the
Correct.
will, is it just a document? Like today, if I took a piece of paper, because there was a story, I think it was Miriam who was telling me that there was a guy who almost was on his deathbed and he realized that he's about to die. And then, he asked his wife very quickly for a notebook and he was like, akandika raka raka, this is where my money is, etc. And in the course of that day, the guy died. Yeah. So the wife was just left with this piece of paper that is now, this guy wrote it on his deathbed. Is that a will?
So the will has to satisfy certain criteria for it to be considered a will.
Mm,
Yes, that's like a death declaration written down.
mm,
But for a will to be a full will, you have to be of sound mind. So nobody should be forcing you. Situations should be forcing you.
mm,
You can't be uh, under the influence of alcohol or any drugs. You have to be of sound mind,
mm,
an adult, meaning over the age of majority, which I believe is most of the people who are watching us today. And the will has to be witnessed. If it is written down, it has to be witnessed by at least two people who are at arm's length with the will. Let me call
mm,
it that. They're not benefiting from this will, but they have witnessed that you wrote it, you signed it, and therefore they put their signature and say, if anybody were to question this, I can speak to the validity of the person writing this will. They were clear in their mind, they knew what they were doing, they knew who they were giving, and therefore this is a valid will.
Can
Again,
it
remember,
can it be handwritten? Like I've
yes.
literally just taken a notebook and written it, but then now there's witnesses that are not part of the will and I'm of sound mind. Is that considered an actual will that can stand the law?
So to that, I will say the courts will determine whether that is an actual will because it means someone presented it as your will. All wills must go through probate. It
Mm-hmm.
must go through the succession court for it to be determined one, that it is a will, two, that the beneficiaries are aware. Therefore, they open the will, they call the beneficiaries, and they speak whatever that was spoken in the will is
Mm,
spoken out to the
mm,
person's estate.
mm,
If you wrote it and nobody witnessed it, there will be, and this is just by practice,
mm,
most people will challenge it because who is to say that you are the one who wrote it? Who guarantees me that you wrote it?
mm.
Maybe I am missing out in the will, or you meant to exclude me from benefiting or inheriting from your estate. If I don't know who witnessed this will, how am I sure that you wrote it? So I can challenge it on that
In
basis.
court, yeah.
Yes, that's why as a legal document it must satisfy those three things.
Three
You
conditions.
have to be an adult of sound mind, and the will must be witnessed by at least two competent people.
Talk to me about money. How much are you charging me? Me nimekwambia I need to know how much it's costing me.
Come and make me a millionaire. Come and make me a millionaire. But again, because
Yeah.
a will you can write for yourself, by yourself, at home, and peacefully go through what you own, how you own it, it can be free of charge. But it would be
Mm,
my best interest and all
mm,
of my colleagues out here to say that you do need proper legal advice as you're setting down pen to paper. And you can walk into a lawyer's office today and you have a lawyer who charges you 20,000 to write a will, and some will charge you 100,000 to write your will. So here is the difference between doing your shopping of groceries at a big supermarket versus at the kiosk by the roadside.
yeah.
So that is, and I don't mean to juxtapose any legal practitioner. I'm just saying it's your affordability that determines how you can write this will under legal advice. And obviously, what we always say, everything is negotiable. You come and talk to a lawyer today and they tell you, I'll charge you 100,000 to write this will. Just ask them, are you willing to negotiate it downwards? Because a will is a very personal document. It's a way of confidentially outlining your thoughts without the fear of repercussion,
Mm,
criticism.
mm,
And a guided legal mind, that person will open your mind to see the challenges that can be posed to that will, to your
yeah.
family. Then they can help you curate an almost airtight will. But the caveat of the day is any will can be challenged if uh, any person can object to this will.
Mm,
It's just how successful they will be. So if you're very keen on writing a will, please speak to a lawyer that you know. Tell them, I want to write a will. Guide me on how I can put this money market
mm.
account under my will and make sure it goes to my firstborn, not my secondborn. My secondborn is a disparage of assets. You know, they will squander it. The firstborn can share. You know, it's as clear as that.
As
You want
clear
to be
as
very
that. Yeah. Mm,
in your wishes, yeah.
mm.
So if you want to budget for it, please just budget for your legal fees. That's all the will take, because the
Correct.
legal fees is their time, yeah. The lawyer is their mind, so the time that they take it to guide you is what you're paying for.
Pretty much. So if someone, so you're telling me, because I'm coming to you, Marian, because I know you've already done a will, so I'm gonna be pointing some light on you. So with as little as 20,000, I can get someone who's willing to do a very simple structure, a simple will for me. Marian, you've done a will. You've mentioned that before, not just even now on your platform, and it's one of the things that inspires me the most about you. Maze, unakwanga umejipanga. I want to know, what was the process like for you? And I have two questions. What was the process for you? And number two, one of my worries for wills has always been, and I know so many people can agree, and you guys can let us know in the comment section, was okay, nimeandika will. I've given, where am I still, like, where is your will? Is it with your lawyer? Is it, like, how now, if you die, who will now come to your children and now tell them, your mom had this plan, etc. So tell us, how was your experience as a young person who has already done their will? And in terms of storage, custody, and all that, what were the plans that you've been assisted to ensure that in case you died today, someone can actually go to your children with this will and say this was your mom's plan for, these were her wishes. You're on mute. You are on mute.
Oh, sorry for that.
Yeah.
Let's just say getting the will was not easy. I think the biggest hurdle I had to jump was my mental, because when you're writing a will is you're literally putting down your wishes. It's not comfortable at all. It was extremely uncomfortable now when I started it out. But at that time my husband had just passed, and I was like, now I'm a single parent, and no matter how uncomfortable I'm feeling, this is something I need to do because I have seen what my husband not having a will has done.
Mm,
Yeah, us not estate plan has been so dramatic. Yeah, so it's like, okay, in as much as I'm uncomfortable, but there's my kids and I love them so much, and I don't want that when something happens to me, it's going to be unclear. So will actually, even when I was starting out the will, I knew that eventually I'd like to get into a trust, but it's just that will was just the easiest thing to write. So just like, let me just write that thing down quickly. So I first of all had to get over the mental hurdle. So I got my life cover. Then I was like, okay, now let me go write my will, because one of the main reasons why I decided to write a will is because when my husband passed, I almost also passed. Yeah.
yeah, I
So my thinking
remember. Yeah.
so my thinking was, after now I survived and now I'm getting better, was nobody knew we had a life cover. I didn't write it down anywhere. We only knew between the two of us. Whoever thinks that both parents can die, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, if it was something that was written down somewhere with an advocate, it would have been easier for people to be able to locate it. I didn't write down who the company was. I didn't put in any information. Yeah, that was number one. And number two, the guardianship. Who will take care of my kids? Because if both me and my husband had died, this would have been a huge court issue. Yeah, who actually is take care of the kids when you're both not there? So now my spouse is not there, I'm alone. Yeah, so I right now, based on how things have been, I know who is best, who's the person I'll trust the most to take care of my children. So I have had to put that down in writing because I don't want it to be guesswork. Yeah.
Mm,
Yes, it was extremely, those were my two main reasons, because a will is also a place where we can write down a list of everything we have. Like now, things like bank accounts.
mm,
Like, where do I even start? Like, even with my husband, there's the ones which I could remember. Then the others, maybe I had to find them through maybe like going through his stuff. But if they were written down, I'm in this bank, this is the account number. Life would have been a bit easier because everything is just under one document. You
mm,
understand? I was just like, now I'm in this place where my children are extremely dependent on me, and I want to make sure that at least people, the minimum, at least they know that these things exist. At
yeah,
the minimum, that they know these things exist. So I just had to get over now that mental and emotional space. And then I just wrote it down, and I'm like, it was so uncomfortable. I'm like, you know what? I trust and pray to God for a very long life. But at the same time, I cannot just walk in this life with hope,
yeah,
because it means if anything is to happen, my children, I'm like, I don't want my children to be a Cinderella, guys.
I
You know,
know.
like
Yeah,
that I've seen how these things happen, as in even with like maybe family, friends, how just because in as much as the families were extremely wealthy, the children have been reduced to nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Just people will not put these things in order. They're just so uncomfortable. That's why I keep on telling people, don't let culture and thinking and religion stop you from putting your things in order. Yeah, because from a cultural aspect, I always say the same people who tell you not to write a will are the same people to kick your family out when that
correct.
time comes.
Yeah.
So you have to create your own culture, create your own set of beliefs. Because
Mm,
I've known people who've written a will from their 30s and they're 80, they're still alive. And I know people who did not write a will and they died early.
mm.
So it's writing a will does not show whether you're going to die or not
It
die. Yeah.
doesn't call
So
death upon you because so many people think that now when you start, actually, most of us, if we ever found our parent writing down the will, the first thing you ask your parent is, Mom, uko sawa? Dad, uko sawa? You're almost thinking like they are probably writing a will because they have cancer or something, or like they are about to die. But like it should actually be normal for people to actually, I'm seeing even in the comment section, Belinda is asking, is it possible for 25-year-old man or woman to write a will? It is possible for any adult of legal age to actually write down a will. Am I correct, Winnie? Yeah. So you can actually write you can write a will at any and
yes,
Marian, I think
let me answer your second question,
mm,
and then you can. So you asked me like, how will people know? Yeah, so I have introduced my advocates to the people who wrote my will, to my family,
mm-hmm,
and my family also know that this will exist, and in the case of anything they know where to go. Because I think the one biggest problem is people just don't even know of its existence. There
yeah.
was no introduction. Even with life insurance, I always ask people, please introduce me to your people.
Mm,
Like, it would be very good to know who's the person on the other side. Yeah, so like the when it comes to storage, the advocates have their copy, and I also have a soft copy. Yeah, and I just put it in the cloud, like a normal.
mm,
Yeah, that's how I put my things in order. So even when I usually have these conversations with clients, I'm like, okay, even right now as you're thinking about it, the most important thing is to think, okay, what do I actually own? And just, if you have any documentation, scan it and put it in Google Drive and share it with your family, at least that they know that thing exists. And
mm,
then, and also that help, like, to put these things in order, because as I said, when that time does come, people's minds are just all over the place. People can't even think straight. So now you can imagine how you're making your people have to go to your company to ask, Kaya, what do you have? If you had already put it,
mm.
okay, these are my debits, you've already listed down. These are my bank accounts, they're already listed down. These are all the assets, the pieces of land, title deed number, everything, everything listed down. Where are these things set? Like, I have like a whole plan around
Folder.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't play these games, because I saw how it really almost destroyed me by not having a plan like in place, and now just trying to start and looking for everything. Another thing, like which Winnie spoke, People never even think of, putting like things like pins of your phone, of your Facebook. What happens when you pass away? Because I think maybe she'll explain to us better, to your digital assets.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
like, for me, I just remember, like, for my husband's things, they just disappeared. Is it that someone put it, like, they declared and it just disappeared? I don't understand really what happened. Now,
Yeah.
things like M-Pesa, go to access. I think I even forgot about it because my mind was not in a good place. Okay, what happens to your M-Pesa? And then with the bank, I was told that there's a document someone can actually fill in, so that the money can go to your beneficiaries. I need to find out that out from Winnie if that is true,
Mm.
because the bank, because your spouse had an account, you can access the money. You can't.
It's
You
not
can't.
as simple, and I think you are the one. I think
I
Marian,
know.
your story, yeah, your story is what made me start thinking about those things. You see, you're talking about things that it's almost like common sense, but see common sense. Like today, if someone, let's say my spouse dies, do I know their M-Pesa PIN? And, do I know their bank accounts and the PIN? Do I know even if they had a pension and whether I'm a beneficiary or not? Like, and in that moment, so I think the first time I had a conversation with you, you are the one that convinced me to actually get like a life insurance and to get like a will done because, like, we think about being, I mean, we all have families here. And like, I'd never considered I can be widowed at 30, ever. Like, ever in my mind. When you think about that, you're thinking, tutakuwa tumezeeka. But as much as you go about life planning to spend the rest of your life with this person, it's not always the case. So I think just hearing you talk about, especially the confusion that you were in, you're unwell, you're trying to wrap your head around the fact that you've lost your husband. Watu wanakuuliza maswali, you're just like, I can't remember. I do not know. So having a will in that case would have really, really beneficial. There's also something I've heard you say that I'll just hold you there for a minute to get to Winnie, because you've said about introduction. Thank you for answering the question on storage, because I was wondering, if anyone here in the who's watching us is wondering, like, how do will we, if I die now, let's say I've gone and gotten an accident somewhere and I've died, how will this will get to my people? And you've mentioned introduction, like your the people who did your will know your family. So in other words, they're so close that if you died, they would hear about it, and then now they would bring this will. But in case they do not do that, you've also introduced your family to the company or the advocate, so that now in case this does not happen from the advocate side, then your family can reach out. Oh, you know what, Marian had communicated, there's this document in place, we would now want to have access, she has passed on. Now Basil Ochieng in the comment section, Winnie, is asking, I thought will ni siri. Why are beneficiaries being called? I thought it's just supposed to be confidential between me, my lawyer, and the two witnesses. And I want to just you to just pick up from where Marianne has left. She's mentioned something about introduction, telling your family this, that, and the other. Please, there are families who are able to do that because there's trust. But there are families who, and tuseme tu kweli, yani watu hawatrustiani, and maybe even for a very, very good reason. You find that these family people are just, you cannot trust anyone but God in that family. So you see, when I'm trying to look at, sasa nitambia nani niko na will, nitambia nani niko na life insurance. How do you go about such a situation? I get the Marian situation where you have a mom or a cousin or someone or a best friend that you actually trust enough to tell these documents exist, this life insurance exists. Please help us understand, Winnie. What if I don't have someone I trust? How can I go about that? Or especially in the family setting. Yani mama yangu, baba yangu, brothers, I'm just like, these people would probably kill me. Last week we did a life insurance conversation, and I saw quite a number of people in the comment section saying people are being killed because people have found out they have life insurance. Can you talk to us about what do we do if in case we are worried about, trust?
Trust is, oh my, it's quite unfortunate that that is just the vice in society, where you're an asset as a human being. Yeah, when someone looks at you, they think, there's some money here that I can make. Or ukikosea mtu, they start counting the number of hairs on your head. They become the lord over your life, determining when you're going to leave this earth. Unfortunately, that cannot be cured just by the mere fact that you're creating an estate plan, but it can be sheltered from the ones who you're creating the plan for. Okay, writing a will is a confidential process. And confidential means you don't have to tell anyone what you've put in your will. You don't have to, even the witnesses don't need to know what you've put in your will. Okay?
Okay.
The lawyer assisting you will know because they're helping you put the words together. But really, in essence, not everyone needs to know what you've put in your will, just the person helping you draw that will and yourself. Everyone else should be a stranger until it invites them. And by invitation, I mean when you pass away, then they can know what is in the will. Telling at least one person that you have a will and where it is important. When we write wills, for instance, we always make sure you know who will be executing this will. So there's at least one person in your life who you're trusting to pick the document, take it to court, open it in front of your family. So that one person, there's no human being who is an island. And if you're an island, maybe you need to start building relationships
Yeah,
out here.
social capital. Cause hawezi kakua tu kwa hii dunia hakuna mtu na trust.
Peke yako,
Ni
yeah,
wewe
peke
tu
yako
peke
tu, like,
yako.
yeah, that's actually a dangerous point to be in, because that's how people end up with a lot of unclaimed assets. A lot of things just fall by the wayside because you did not find anyone suitable in your life to just give information. Yeah, information is power, especially to your family. If they know, I don't have to know whether you've given me anything, whether you've given
Or
me nothing.
not.
All
Yeah.
I need to know
Is it
is, do you
there?
have a will? Yes. Where can I go if I need this will? When you pass away, where do I go? Go to person X, office Y. There are safety deposit boxes all across this country. You can put your will there, lock it, and then now tell someone, one person, here is where I've placed my documents, or leave
Question.
it in the
Kidogo tu,
care of
kidogo.
your lawyer.
You've mentioned safety deposit boxes. You've said all around the country. Please tell us where? In
No, they're
banks?
housed in banks. They're
In
housed in banks. Yes,
oh
yes, they're housed in banks.
yeah.
Obviously, it's not just a building where you just walk in.
Yeah,
They're
I was
housed in
concerned.
banks. Okay, you can always, but they're for purchase. Okay, you buy storage. Just the same way people in business buy storage in warehouses, people buy storage. If you don't have a safe in your home, or you can't afford to purchase a safe in your storage with your lawyer, you purchase storage with, a trusted financial advisor. Yeah. And if that's a business line you're looking to go, Susan, people are looking to buy
Yeah.
storage, digital assets. And by digital assets, I mean websites, social media pages. Something that brings in income is an asset. Okay. So whatever is bringing you income can be stored. We've seen a lot of the social media houses coming up with your next of kin documentation. Yeah, you fill in a digital form and tell them if anything happens to you, and we start seeing people posting you and you're trending,
Mm,
the person to hand over your account to. Banks are doing the same thing. They
yeah.
have introduced next of kin forms that you can keep updating and as often as you want, so that you can keep them in the know that if this person walks into this bank today, they are entitled to receiving information. Unfortunately, in Kenya, the bank will only give you information, a statement, something, information. They will not give you access to that bank account until you bring them a letter from court. And if you've put it in your will, it means you've given them a shorter route by making sure they just go through probate and get that letter to have full access to your account
To
rather
the
than
account. Okay.
limited access to your account. Yes. So
Okay.
without a plan, they'll only get limited access to
Mm.
information.
Mm.
If you want to store your will with a family member, the will, remember, must be sealed. Courts don't open unsealed wills. It must be sealed. and they will confirm because you'll deposit it the way that person had left it. And they are the ones to open it, to be opened by a court officer to show that this will is actually in its original form.
Form.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love that. I didn't know that you can actually seal a will. So I'm really, really glad to know that literally, like even if I give it to my brother and say, they can't open it. And if they open it, then there's a problem because you have to present it and seal. That's really good. Now, I'm seeing our time is almost running out. Yeah. I want you to address a question for me that is in the comment section, and then we can proceed very quickly to trusts. Sheila is asking, my boyfriend and I have a marriage affidavit. This is for you, Winnie, very quickly. If something happens to me, can he inherit my assets? Yes or no?
no. Marriage affidavits are they're they're not recognized in law. What the Marriage Act recognizes is a marriage certificate. Yeah. So if you want to be deemed married, get a marriage certificate. An affidavit does not represent anyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we have so many questions going on, but we have 10 minutes only. Very, very quickly before I come to Marian, please tell us what is the difference between a will and a trust? You've told us a will is a written document and we can actually get it with as little as 20,000. Really, really quickly, help us understand what is a trust. How is it different from a will? And give us rates, tentatively, ranges. What should we expect?
Okay. So a will, again, you can get it from a legal advisor at any price that I've mentioned, but you can also get it for free. If you have a friend who's a lawyer and they're willing to donate their time, please buy them a cup of coffee and
Can I
help
can
them.
I buy you can I buy you one for my trust?
We can meet after this, then we see. But
Mm,
now a trust is a separate arrangement that comes alive as soon as you're setting it in place. Okay,
mhm,
so a will comes alive when you pass away. It's the
mhm,
only event that awakens it. But a trust comes alive with you as you're setting it in place. A trust is an arrangement between you and another person that you're giving them charge over what you own to take care of it for yourself and for others that you want to name. So that will be your trust beneficiaries. A trust simply is a legal document. It's like recognized by law that this person you're giving charge, who we call a trustee, is being given uh, good faith authority over assets that belong to someone else. So you're passing on maybe your phone to someone and you're telling them, pick my calls, respond to my messages, but if I want you to give me back my phone, please give it back to me. Okay, so that's a simple maybe narrative around it. To create a trust is a journey, it's a process. You have to be clear, just the same way you have to be clear in your will how to distribute your assets. In your trust, you have to be clear on three things: why you're creating it, for who you're creating it, and for how long you're creating it. Okay, who you're giving the charge of the trust now will be guided by the three things that you've determined. Why are you creating it? Is it for your family? Is it for charity? Is it for something benevolent? Is it what are you doing? And a living example of a will that created a trust is the Nobel Peace Prize.
mm,
Nobel wrote a will and said, my monies should go into awarding people who have done like profound things in life in different areas. Yeah, so science, environment, education, whatever the people I have left in charge, being my trustees, determine is worth recognizing, an award should be given to this person. And people can contribute to this trust. It's not just you. You're the first contributor, but others can also contribute to this trust. Secondly, when you're creating a trust, you must determine who it's going to benefit. Do you want it to benefit just the public, or do you want it to benefit my lineage, the people who are born of me, people who I am related to by blood? You can be as clear as that.
mm,
And thirdly, you must know what you're putting in the trust. What are you For how long do you want it to exist? Are you only putting money such that the trust will die when the cents hit zero? Or are you putting something that is more long lasting, like real estate, and saying this trust will exist for as long as this real estate belongs to my lineage or belongs to the people who are the beneficiaries in this trust?
Okay.
That you're curating. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that you've mentioned that because I'm also thinking for myself as a content creator, my YouTube channel earns me money, and for as long as I'm alive, or as long as it's still there, it's an evergreen platform. As long as people keep watching these videos, whether I'm alive or not, the YouTube is gonna have to keep paying me. So if I'm not there, that could also included in a trust, and it's paying someone. I love that. Now, there's so many questions. Spring Rose is asking, what is probate? Maybe I missed it. It's just the legal process of, like, succession and all that. But you can always reach out to Winnie at Estate Planner KE on Instagram. Okay. And before we wrap up, Marian, very very quickly, in less than 5 minutes, let us know, how can Le Risque Africa help us set these things up, because we've talked a lot about wills, we've talked a lot about estate plans. Guys, we only had an hour today, so of course we can't quite get very deep into it, but I'm pretty sure you've gotten something. So Le Risque Africa, Marianne, you own a legacy planning and a protection company, which is Le Risque Africa. How can you help us, if we wanted to kind of like come to you, and we want to talk about succession and legacy planning, wills and trusts and all of that? How can you help us, and how can we reach out to you?
Okay, wow. Hey, this one has gone so fast because
Yeah.
I know we haven't gone much deeper on how trusts are used for asset protection and wealth transfer
Mm,
to it's the easiest and best option, by the way. I think it's more superior compared to a will. Actually, it
yeah.
is more superior because
Mm,
with a will go through probate. So probate is, yes, the courts, when someone passes away, and with
mm,
a trust, someone can do it when they are alive. Yeah. So when it comes to overall planning, because when it comes at Le Risque Africa, we've decided now to take over the whole protection because I know we generally focused on now the financial aspect, but we realized we're leaving things hanging if we also don't cater for the legal aspect of protection planning. Because again, especially for our clients who are getting life cover, okay, you're getting a life cover of 50 million, but do you want someone to actually get that 50 million cash when you are not there? We are not sure if this amount of money will be managed the way you want, or if it will, especially if you pass away when your kids are still young, if it will be distributed the way it is that you want. So it will be important now to involve now the legal aspect. So you see, when it comes to protection, these are the different things we could do. There's just getting the life cover, which is the simplest, the easiest way. Like if you are 100% on a budget, that is a good place to start when it comes to overall wealth transfer. Then the other thing is we can help people in, together, partnering with now a specialist and an estate planning specialist now, like Winnie. We can help now set up a trust fund. So number one is you can have a life cover, then you can have a simple trust fund. And this trust fund is for people who have especially liquid assets mostly. Yeah, people who have like the money markets, they have the life insurances. That is now just the simplest way. You like, okay, I want to create a trust fund, which in the case I was to pass away today, this money will be distributed like this. Maybe you don't want the whole amount of money to go straight to your kids or straight to the guardians. Maybe you're like, I want to structure it in a way maybe people get 50,000 a month. You understand? So it's still a way of asset protection. Yeah. That is trust fund. And then there is going to build a whole, okay, there's now creating a will, which I believe it's good, but not good enough in my opinion. Because if something can be contested, it's not as
mm,
safe. But place to start as well, like if you're listing down the things it is that you have,
mm,
and just have something in time as you're creating the trust. And then finally now we can create a full-blown trust. Now you remember, now when it comes to a trust, what that means, if, as even when he was explaining, that we have an entity now, which is now you're going to transfer like ownership of, let's say, something like your house from yourself, like let's say from me as Marianne, to the entity. Yeah. And then with that entity, there'll be managers who are called of this estate who are called trust managers of the trust who are called trustees. Yeah, they're the ones who are managing it. And then there'll be beneficiaries, and I can also be a beneficiary, right? So that's why she said that trust can also be used when you're still alive. And then
Yeah.
the beauty about trust is the family will never have to go through probate. We never got the chance to discuss um, deeper, because the one thing people have to remember when it comes to probate, all your assets are open to everybody, to the public. Everybody knows what you have. So if you want to shelter and protect your assets, and especially if you're building a significant portfolio, you don't want everybody to know your stuff. Your family will actually be a target if everybody knows, because I've been in succession court. Everybody knows what it is I own, because you're told to list it down with the judge. So with the trust, at least like you're putting your things away from the view of everybody else. And now there's that protection aspect. So even when you want now to build a full-blown trust, especially for people who are generational wealth thinkers, visionaries, by the way, this is not for everybody. Not everybody is a visionary, and it's okay. So for people who who are looking even maybe into taking people who are looking into your grandchildren, great grandchildren, people who are also in business, and you're looking into now planning succession. So we are also teaming up with expert advocates, as expert estate planners when it comes to this. So number one, wealth transfer through life cover. Number two, you can get a will. Number three, you can get a trust fund, which is now the easiest. At least get a trust fund, yeah. And then number four, like a full blown trust. So if people want to reach out to us, we'll just leave a link with Susan, and then now we can start. We can now start get the conversation going, and
Yeah.
we're officially now starting these services from October. Yeah, because
Wow.
so yeah, because we don't want to leave people hanging, guys. Because
Mm,
yes, it's important to get a life cover, but it's important to just go through the whole thing. And it's simpler than people think. It's not as complicated, it's not as hard, and we'll have different packages for different level of affordability. From
mm,
now, the simple trust fund, like a full blown, because remember, maybe some people have businesses, companies. You want to now structure it in a way that, okay, you're putting it under this umbrella called a trust. So obviously some cases will be a bit more complicated than others, but I always say to just start off, just have a trust fund. If you have like money
yeah.
market, this sort of liquidity, just start there. Yeah.
I love that. I'm seeing Christopher in the comment section asking, is there a limitation to who can have a trust? I think we already answered that earlier with wills. As long as you are of legal age and you're of sound mind. If you've just joined us, you can actually rewatch. I'm gonna be saving this live so that we can actually be able to catch up. Ladies, thank you so much for like, I mean, for agreeing to go on this live with me and have this discussion. This is just the beginning. There's still so much that we have not covered, but guys, bottom line, I hope you have heard that one, you do not have to be rich, wealthy, affluent. Like, you don't need hundreds of thousands to set up a simple structure or a simple system to actually be able to control what happens to your wealth. Even if I remember Miriam sometime telling me, even a simple thing as your wedding ring, and you want to decide who will be given or where you want it to go, you can actually decide that. So I really hope that this live was insightful. Keep the questions coming as you keep rewatching it on my feed, and Winnie and Marian are actually going to be in the comments with us, and they're actually going to be helping you answer. I'm also going to link in the description box Winnie's contact and how to reach her, as well as Marian Lerisk Africa, so that we can actually keep the conversation going. Lerisk Africa are an amazing platform, and I love what you guys are doing in terms of protecting African families and protecting Kenyan families. So we have literally 2 minutes, and this live will time us out. So Winnie, very quickly, your parting shot, how we can reach you, and then Marian, your parting shot and how we can reach you. Literally 1 minute only.
All right, thanks, Susan. Thank you for this time for this session. Demystifying estate planning is an engaging conversation. Trying to get people to put their things in order or helping their parents to put their things in order is what we are aiming at. We want property to stay within families. We want to grow a better Kenya. So let's plan our estates. Reach out to me. You can DM me if you want a personal conversation, a personalized conversation. Even if you've started the succession process and you think, I think this is the time to do a plan for our whole family, please reach out, understand how you can do this. And yeah, let's just build a better Kenya for the next gen. Thank you.
Thank you. Marianne, 1 minute.
I love that what Renee has said, especially when it comes to now planning for the next generation. I always keep on going back to a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and by leaving your
Yes.
inheritance, have to put your matters in order even right now, and do not leave it to hope and to the government. Yeah, so it is very, very important to have this conversation. So Susan, thank you again for inviting us, because these are the conversations which should be had in family tables, but we don't have it. So by you letting us come in here into your platform and to have these conversations is actually a beautiful thing, and we are truly, truly grateful. So I really hope that anybody who's watched this, at least this conversation has got you thinking, yeah, around protecting your assets and distributing your asset in your own terms. You want to live life in your own terms. So also when it comes to managing your wealth, please manage your wealth in your own terms. Don't let someone take charge, because you know yourself best, you know your people best, you know everything about you the best. So I will totally urge you to now put your things in order. And if you want us to help you, as I mentioned earlier, you can reach out to us at Lerisk Africa. When you want a life cover, we have a very simple form that you can fill in, and we can guide you on how it is to pick the best one for wealth transfer purposes. And when you want to work with us regarding the rest of the estate plan, when it comes to creating a trust fund or even creating a full-blown trust, you can also reach out to us. But as I mentioned, that we are starting those services. They will be going live in October, but you can still inbox us, or we'll leave a link which it is that you can be on the waiting list. And then yeah, we'll let's get our families protected. Let's protect African wealth and preserve African wealth. Please, we do not have to start afresh with every generation, because in the African context, because of our way of thinking and our beliefs, it's like every family and every generation has to press the restart button. But I believe that we are the generation of change, we're the generation of visionaries. So just be that person who wants to be a proper ancestor, who's going to put you're setting your family's life differently. So
I
yeah,
love
thank you.
that. I've gotten three things: keeping wealth within our families, protecting Kenyan wealth, protecting African wealth, and deciding what your wealth should do on your own terms. So, thank you guys. The contact information for both Winnie and Marianne will be in the description box down below. Please comment and ask any questions that you might have, and let's keep this conversation going. So, again, thank you so much for Lerisk for being here. Guys, Lerisk Africa will change your life. Please contact them down below. Winnie is also really good at what she does, estate planning. Please reach out to them on this channel. You guys, I told you, I got you. Next week, Marianne and I are going to be back here to have another conversation around protection. So make sure you tune in. So again, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, guys. And ladies, as usual, it's been a pleasure. God bless you. Bye.